The last four in the 23-24 Champions League took center stage this week, coming off the back of a monumental quarter-final round. Eyebrows were raised at what this set of matches had in store for us. And what exactly did we get? Jamie Carragher drunk in the yellow wall and holding Jadon Sancho hostage, Thomas Müller trying his hardest to censor himself on an international broadcast, both Dortmund and PSG failing to put their shooting boots on, and Barcelona catching strays despite not even being in the competition. It's the first leg of the semi-finals, and we've got another Champions League review. Hello everyone, hope we're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Don't mind the background, I am traveling this week. The hype around the European Clasico was intense. Probably the two biggest clubs in all of world football set to take each other on for the 27th time. There are teams that play within the same country that have yet to play each other this many times in any sort of competition, yet these two are doing it at the highest level every single time. It's quite the rivalry. Although, if you looked at some of the reactions of some of the fans to this matchup, you wouldn't really think that it's any sort of rivalry at all. The amount of hugs and respect going around by each set of fans was wholesome. And like I already said, the amount of joint Barcelona hate was also wholesome in its own kind of way. Barcelona fans must have been punching air waking up to this on their timelines. Onto the actual teams themselves. Honorary Bayern Munich president Uli Hoeneß had some very weirdly timed criticism for Thomas Tuchel in the days before. By the way, that's not current president, that's honorary president. All the same, you'd imagine that he has some say in what goes on at the club. He claimed that Thomas Tuchel would rather buy players than improve ones already at the club, the young ones in particular. Tuchel said that this is such a strange remark that he doesn't know how to respond to it. It's fair enough, I wouldn't either. Hoeneß then doubled down on his accusations when asked to comment on it and said he would continue making such remarks in future if he felt like doing so. It's remarkable that two of the biggest figures for one of the biggest sporting organizations on the entire planet, definitely the biggest football organization in the country, are having a war of words like this for the entire public to see. My brothers, do you not have each other on WhatsApp? Ralf Rangnick appears to be the front runner for the job for Bayern. I'm sure he was delighted when seeing this spat at his upcoming place of work. Oh. Never mind. Antonio Rudiger admitted to wetting the bed when he was younger, which I don't think he needed to admit to, if I'm being honest.
My story, I would say, till 15 I was peeing in the bed. True? Yes.
He wasn't even being asked that question too. But I guess he's one of the only people that could get away with saying something like that and people not really questioning it. The guy is crazy, but he's also crazy good, and he brought the defensive form that Madrid have excelled at in this Champions League campaign with him, as did the rest of the team. Bayern were at home and they were definitely the aggressors in this game from the start. Sané was looking incredibly dangerous and Thomas Müller was spreading the ball out very, very well. They had some really good attacking movements in the opening sequences. Leimer was extremely hard-working in the middle, Musiala was electric whenever he was on the ball, and Kane was playing some really neat 1-2s with Sané on the edge of the box. But if we know anything about the Champions League, it's that if you're looking like the more positive team against Real Madrid, they have you exactly where they want you. Los Blancos defended with intent from the get-go, and they didn't really mind that Bayern had more possession of the ball. They seemed okay with just letting them go and biding their time. Like I said, I wasn't really sure that this tactic was going to work out because they were being hounded, but at the same time, Ancelotti and the boys clearly knew what they were doing, and the entire team was committed to it. Rodrigo was fighting Mazraoui in the corner of his own half at one point, and it shows you just how together they were when it came to defending as a unit. The maturity and composure that this Real Madrid squad shows week on week is monumental, and we talk about it all the time. The fact that they've been able to integrate young and old into the squad so well is really commendable, and the fact that most of the spine of the squad are 25 and younger doesn't bode too well for the rest of Europe. And Mbappe is coming next season too, allegedly. In the meantime, I guess they'll have to do with a man that keeps reminding us that he was born for big occasions. Vinicius Jr. just keeps showing up to knock out Champions League football. The set of balls and mental fortitude on this guy is crazy. Madrid's first goal looks like it came out of nowhere, but In reality, it was a perfectly calculated sequence that showcased the chemistry and mental fortitude that these players have. Kroos is roaming in the midfield, scanning for his next pass. As he does so, Vinicius drifts into the midfield to give him an option, but Kroos doesn't release the ball just yet because he sees Kim Min-jae rushing to get tight to Vinny Jr. They both instantly knew what this meant. Vinny gets on his bike to exploit the gap left by the Bayern CB, and in the space of 2 to 3 seconds, he's in a 1v1 with Manuel Neuer. Incredible movement, incredible assists, very commendable finish. Real Madrid take the lead against the run of play, as they usually do. Kim Min-jae has missed a lot of playing time over the last few months through international duty and bench, and he also hasn't won a game that he started for Bayern since December of last year. But he was thrown into the deep end against Real Madrid with the hopes that he wouldn't go on and do an Upamecano. 23 minutes into the match, unfortunately the game wasn't going as expected, and it would get a lot worse. And as Madrid do in these situations, they began to turn the heat up and grow more and more into the game from then on. Despite this, after the break, Bayern came out guns blazing and finally had something to show for all that early dominance. Leroy Sané with his first goal since October, which is quite a crazy stat. To be fair, it was quite a crazy goal. Another one that looked like it came out of nowhere. Sané, who like many people know tries this move on multiple occasions in multiple different games, channeled his inner Arjen Robben and snuck the ball in at the near post. And then to further exemplify how evenly matched these two teams were over the contest, the rest of the game was pretty much defined by individual mistakes. First came Lucas Vazquez, one of the more senior members of the Real Madrid squad, needlessly bringing down Jamal Musiala in the box. And when I say needlessly, I really mean it. He stuck his leg out very lazily in the box with the ball 1,000 miles away from him. It's a powerful drive into the box by the German, but Musiala must not have believed his luck. And you know what happens next. One of the best penalty takers of his generation steps up. That's too easy for him. This pen made it 73 out of 84 pens scored in his career. To the dismay of Uli Hoeneß, Tuchel's pep talk at halftime really hit the mark. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter because, as we all know, Real Madrid does not care when they look second best or when they are second best. For the second first leg in a row, Modric has come onto the pitch and made an instant impact. Apart from taking a free kick as his first task after being subbed on, he plays one of those magic balls through to Vinicius on goal. It's a shame he never scored there. He just adds a dynamism that's impossible to replicate. And who else other than the two Brazilians in the mix to bring Real Madrid level? Rodrigo and Vinicius are most likely going to go down as one of the most potent duos in Champions League history when it's all said and done. Their combination play and the fact that these two seem to be involved in Real Madrid's decisive moments in almost all of their big matches over the past 3 or 4 years really speaks volumes for them. Vinny goes into the box late on. Rodrigo picks up the ball and then gets brought down by who else but Kim before Vinny cancels out Kane's penalty. 2-2 final score. Overall, a really great match, and not just because the teams were evenly matched, but also because the ref hasn't caught any flack whatsoever. No team complained about a penalty that wasn't given. Nobody really had anything bad to say about referee Clement Turpin. I heard Nottingham Forest have been flooding his DMs. You didn't hear that from me though. The cameraman on the Sky broadcast I was watching seemed to be a little bit distracted over the course of the match. He kept panning towards the same group of girls over and over again, particularly in that first half. I didn't realize UEFA hired the same camera technicians they used for the World Cup. But on to some final thoughts. Kim Min-jae had an absolute stinker. So much so that I think Bayern need to consider having him and Upamecano start in the second leg. In theory, each of them would cancel out any mistake that the other one has in them. Now, don't ask me how I came up with this theory. I used science to determine it. Bellingham wasn't really involved much here. He got on the ball a bit, but failed to make much happen. For the second leg in a row, he just seemed a bit tired to me. I don't know, maybe it's, a long season. He's played almost all of Real Madrid's games all year, and he was really carrying them at the start of the season with all those clutch goals. So maybe it's just a case of, season-long fatigue. All the same, if he wants to live up to all the hype that everyone keeps putting on him, the Ballon d'Or hype, the Zinedine Zidane hype, all of that, he's got to start stepping up in these sorts of games. Vinicius is just unbelievable. His movements, his decision-making, his work rate. If Jude Bellingham is in the conversation for Ballon d'Ors and all that, Vinny Jr. has to be ahead of him. The consistency and growth that he's shown is just monumental over the past few years. Also, just a quick one, Tchouaméni was immense. His passing was super super precise, he covered the back four very well and was just overall classy. My gut tells me that Bayern's not going to be as aggressive in the second leg, it only makes sense, but they're still going to have a lot of opportunity. All the same, Real Madrid will probably see this one through. It's just really hard to count against them, especially in situations like this, and especially when they're going to be at home. But let's just wait and see how this one pans out. Borussia Dortmund and PSG. This was the outsiders semi-final. PSG have never won the Champions League and Borussia Dortmund haven't won since 1996. The other game the night before featured two of the competition's four most prime competitors. Between Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, they have 20 Champions League trophies. Both teams defeated Spanish opposition on their way to this semi-final, and despite the fact that Dortmund have actually won the competition and PSG have not, I think PSG were a bit more favored going into the tie. After all, PSG reached the final as recently as 2020 and they are currently the champions of their domestic league. They wrapped that one up nice and early. Meanwhile, Borussia Dortmund will likely finish the season in 5th place. And while we're on that topic, it's kind of ironic that both Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund are having what's likely their worst season in about 12 years or so, but both of them have made it to a Champions League semi-final, and both of them could yet make it to the final, and they both have pretty good chances of doing so too and going all the way. The match started off slower than the night before, with neither team being bold enough to go straight for the jugular, but PSG looked a bit more dangerous from the early moments and had a bit more control overall, especially when they had Vitinha who was intercepting like a madman. But that quickly changed as Borussia Dortmund grew into the game and started to assert themselves, especially in the midfield. Sabitzer and Chan did extremely well to contain several outballs that were going to the flanks towards those PSG danger men. Karim Adeyemi was maybe the hardest worker on the pitch from the start, which the Westfalenstadion could not love more. He was arguably Dortmund's best defender on the night too, he just would not stop running. Kylian Mbappe again was not as effective as he should have been in this year's competition. This time he was playing down the middle as a 9, which left all of us asking the same question. Why? He's the best when he's playing out wide and he gets the chance to run across defenders and pull them out of position on the flanks. Even when Randal Kolo Muani came on, Mbappe stayed in that 9 position, which made little sense to me. Instead, we were seeing him come deep into the midfield to try and get himself on the ball, and I don't know about you guys, but a Kylian Mbappe that's coming deep and catching the ball around the center circle isn't really a dangerous Kylian Mbappe. Hummels and Schlotterbeck weren't having much of an issue with him overall. He almost made me shut up when he came out in the second half and hit the post with venom, but even then, he was only able to fashion that chance by drifting in from the left and working some space. Niklas Füllkrug scores with a very sleek finish. The first touch and then the powerful strike was great to watch. There was a mandatory VAR check that seemed like it lasted for ages. I went to the toilet and came back and they were still checking, but in the end, the goal was given, to the joy of absolutely everybody. And as a testament to Füllkrug's power, somehow the player that came out of this goal sequence injured was the defender that came to collect. There were so many wasted chances in this game, it's kind of crazy. Ousmane Dembele skied it at point blank. Fabian Ruiz had maybe the miss of the round with a free header that he just let run. To be fair, it did bounce before it came to him, but still, not a pretty sight at all. Sancho deserves all the praise he's getting for his performance because he truly was top tier. But as a Man United fan, I just can't fathom how this is the same guy that couldn't complete 60 minutes of football for Manchester United only a couple of months ago. I honestly feel like I'm going crazy because yes, Man United are to blame for a lot of his poor form, but at the same time, you can't really blame the system for a player deciding not to track back, missing open goals, being seen at nightclubs, during the season, being seen playing FIFA while his team are playing. It's a really curious case, one maybe worth looking into in depth with a lot more research from both sides, but for the time being, it seems like one of those situations, those timeless situations of Man United ruining or stunting a player's career. Anyway, him and Ryerson were deadly on the right-hand side. It seemed like they both had acres of space in their build-up too. It was almost like Nuno Mendes was afraid of getting tight to either of them. But to be fair to him, he was kind of doing the job of two people because Barcola essentially had a night off in that game when it came to tracking back. Overall, I thought it was a very fun match. End-to-end stuff from start to finish. You never really knew how it was going to end up. But it was kind of a weird match because Dortmund very easily could have won by 3 goals, so they were unlucky in that respect, but they were also quite lucky that they didn't lose by 3 goals, which PSG could have done so very easily. I think finishing just left the building overall. The second leg could prove to be very tasty indeed. With Dortmund's victory over PSG, they officially confirmed that Germany has won the 5th Champions League spot for the 24-25 football season, and in doing so, essentially ensured that they would be competing in the competition next year, because they are 5th in the league and will likely finish there. Since no one else was gonna do it, they decided to do it themselves. And just so we finish this video up with a quick prediction, I'm gonna go for both home teams to go through to the finals and battle it out for the ultimate prize. Kylian Mbappe to either throw the game or be hated in the locker room next season. Hypothetically. And there we have it. Let me know what you guys think about this Champions League round and who's gonna go through from next week and who's gonna win it in the end. Leave it all in the comments, please. That's all for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a great day. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.